One of the amazing things about modern RC controllers is how programmable they are. If you can think of a problem with the way the controls work, there's probably a way to program the controller to solve the problem. And the problem that people want to solve is this. If we shift to turtle mode, so this is my turtle mode switch, and I'm gonna arm the quadcopter. Okay, good. Yeah, we're in turtle mode. Okay, hopefully nothing bad will happen. We can move the sticks to flip the quadcopter over if it's upside down. I am not going to demonstrate that here on the desk, but I'm sure most of you have done it before. And the problem that some people have is that turtle mode is a little too sort of abrupt, if you will. In other words, they would like more fine-grained control over how fast the props spin. And when I asked the Betaflight devs about this, they said, what are you talking about? The speed at which the props spin is proportional to the deflection of the stick. So let me just move this over a little bit. If I deflect the stick just a little bit, they spin slowly, and if I deflect the stick more, they spin faster. Okay, but there are still people out there who feel like they want more fine-grained control, and that is what we're going to do in this video. Now, the radio that I'm going to be using in this demonstration is the Radiomaster Boxer, but if you don't have that exact radio, don't worry, because the steps that I'm going to show you will apply to all radios running the EdgeTX, and even probably most radios running the older OpenTX operating system, and that's almost any radio that you're likely to have. The Boxer, the Radiomaster TX16S, the Radiomaster T12, many jumper radios if you have one of the Jumper T Pro, and even older like FreeSky radios like the Taranis X9D. The steps I'm going to show you apply to all of those radios. The only radios this won't apply to are radios that don't run EdgeTX or OpenTX, like if you have a Spectrum radio, a Futaba radio, or a FlySky radio, then you might be able to do the things that I'm going to show you. Those radios are also programmable, but the exact steps I'm going to show you won't be the same. The only difference is going to be that the Boxer has a relatively small black and white screen. So if you've got like the TX16S with a very large touch screen, your menus are going to be laid out in a little more of sort of a roomy fashion. And I might have to like go into a sub menu, whereas you have everything on one page. But I'm going to guess that by just paying careful attention to what I'm doing, you'll be able to follow along. And what I want to do, I think, is add some expo to the sticks, but only when I'm in turtle mode. And I say add expo, I'm just thinking this through right now. I say add expo because what we could do is we could just reduce the throw of the stick so that the stick only went to like 50% deflection. And then we would have more precision. If we reduce the throw of the stick, you get more precision for the existing stick movement. But I still want to be able to go to full throttle, so that I can get the maximum speed of the motor, so that like if I'm really stuck in a tree or something, I can shake it out of the tree as violently as I need to. But what I want is a little more precision around center throttle, and that is expo. That's what does that. The way I'm going to do that, I think, is I'm going to press the model key, and I'm going to go to the inputs screen. I think this is going to be one of the cases where the input screen is the right way to solve this problem. One of the things that's sort of annoying about EdgeTX is that there's a lot of different ways that you could accomplish any given end goal. So when people do tutorials, they don't always, it's not like there's just one right way to do it, and that's what you're going to see in the tutorial. For this case, though, I do think that using the input screen is the right way to do it. And what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to make an additional input for each of the four main controls. Aileron, elevator, not for throttle. Throttle isn't used in turtle mode. So the three controls, aileron, elevator, and rudder. And we'll just start here with aileron. And what I can do is I can long click and copy, and then roll the wheel down one time, and it'll create a second line with it's a duplicate of aileron. There is actually a shortcut for that a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to do it now for elevator. If I just click one time, don't long click, just click, it will create a copy of the line, and I can roll it wherever I need to. And another shortcut that we're not going to use right this minute, but if I actually click once and again, it actually moves the existing line instead of copying it. Many people do that by accident and get confused as to what's going on, but that's what that does. So we will, let's see, we've got two ailerons, two elevators, and we're going to copy the rudder as well. Now, what I want to do is I want to say that one of these is normal and just normal linear stick throw that I use all the time. And one of these has expo on it, and it's only going to kick in when I'm using turtle mode. And the way that I'm going to do that is let's make this first one be the normal one. And I'm going to identify my turtle mode switch, that is switch SC. And when switch SC is down, that is turtle mode. And when it is middle or up, that is not turtle mode. So this first line is going to be active whenever we are not in turtle mode, when switch SC is not down. Okay, keep that in mind. We're going to long press the jog wheel and edit. And we're going to go down to find the switch parameter. And here it is. And what the switch parameter does is it says this line will only be active when a given switch is in a given state. Now, by default, the switch parameter is disabled, and that means that this line is always active. It's active all the time. We're going to change that. We're going to click that jog wheel one time, and that switch parameter will begin flashing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move the switch SC to the down position. And when we do that, we will see that it now picks up switch SC down as the condition. But what we actually want is not switch SC down. We want whenever switch SC is not down. And we can accomplish that by long clicking the jog wheel while this is still flashing and going to invert, and that will cause the logic to read not SC down. I'm just going to click one more time to cause it to stop flashing. That little exclamation point is programmer speak for not, and what a programmer would see when they look at this is not SC down. So this input line will become active whenever switch SC is not in the down position. And if I back out, we can see that that line is bold now, and if I move switch SC, the line becomes not bold. And actually, it looks like it fails through to the second one. That's kind of cool. It's automatically failing through to the second one. I kind of don't trust that. I don't like a fail through default. So we're going to modify that second line as well. I'm going to edit the second line, and we're going to go to the switch parameter. And we're going to move switch SC to the down position. And now it reads switch SC down. And now what I've got is two lines. When switch SC is down, the second line becomes active. When switch SC is up or middle, the first line is active. Great. Now what I want to do is add that expo to the SC down line so that the expo will apply when I'm in turtle mode. So I'm going to highlight that second line again and edit. And I'm going to add some expo to the curve. And the amount of expo that I add is the more expo that I add, the sort of softer the center and the more precision I'll get around the center. And then the more abrupt the transition will be to full stick. So I'm just going to, I'm just going to edit that and add some expo. And I'm going to look at this curve. That's the most expo I can get, huh? Okay. Well, let's just do 100 expo. Why not? We'll just do all the expo we can get and we'll just see what that looks like. So now we can see that I've got expo 100 for the second line when I'm in turtle mode, that is SC down, and normal, just no modifiers, when I am in the other switch positions. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like here on the bench. So, turtle mode, arm, okay? Now, what I should see is that the pitch axis works normally because I haven't changed the pitch axis yet. So if I start to deflect the stick, okay, but the roll axis should have a lot more precise control. Oh, there's a problem. There's a problem. Look how far I'm deflecting that stick and nothing is happening. Uh-oh. We haven't accomplished what we meant to accomplish. Ooh, this tutorial is about to get more complicated. You see, the problem that I'm running into is that the motor doesn't begin spinning until the stick deflects a certain minimum amount. So if you take a look, which one is the pitch axis? Let's see, this one is the pitch axis here. Look at this number. As I begin to deflect the stick, nothing happens. I'm at whatever, 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. So right at about 15, plus 15, it begins spinning. And because I've added so much expo to the roll axis, the roll axis doesn't actually, here's the roll axis here. The roll axis doesn't actually hit plus 15 until I've deflected the stick damn near 50%. But we can fix this. I'm going to go back to my input screen and I'm going to tweak this second line with the expo on it. And what I really want is I really want to start the curve closer to that trigger point where the motors begin spinning. I want it to already be at like 14, and then as I begin to deflect the stick, it goes to 15 and they start spinning. How can I do that? I think I need a custom curve. A custom curve means that we create a custom mapping of input to output that has any shape that we want. And I think we can accomplish what we want here. What we're going to need to do, we're going to go back to the main screen and press the model key. And then we're going to page to curves. And I'm going to adjust curve number 1 just because that's the first curve that isn't being used. If you've got any custom curves pre-existing, don't mess them up. I'll highlight curve 1. And what type of curve do we have? A custom curve? Okay, I'm going to want, let's go up to like 7 points and let's have a smooth curve. I want the center to be the center, and then I want the next curve to be at like minus 14. That'll make it kick in sooner. So if I were to do that, and I want my end point to be all the way down. So I don't want to change my full deflection endpoint. So we're going to put those all the way at the end. I want to have one point close to center. Oops, no, that's not right. I want to change the X. I want that X to be like 14 or 15, just before the point where the motors begin spinning at 15. So there's 13, 14, let's do minus 13. Okay. And then we've got this point, which is going to control our expo, and we're going to make a curve that looks something like this. So I'm just eyeballing this point to create something that looks like an expo curve. So now I can only test this out. So what I hope I've got here is a curve that will center at 0, will immediately jump to 13 as soon as I begin deflecting the stick, and then will give me a gentle expo curve from 13 all the way out to full stick deflection, and we'll go to full stick deflection. At full stick deflection, we'll just be at 100. So let's try applying this curve to that input. We're going to go back to the input screen. We're going to choose this second line and edit it. And we're going to have custom curve. And it's going to be CV1, which is that curve we just made. No, see, it's going to minus 8, minus 9, minus 11. Oh, I did it backwards. No, I did it backwards. I know what I did wrong. I got to modify that curve. We're going back to the custom curve. I know what I did wrong. This point needs to be x equals 0. I did it backwards. X equals 0 and y is the output, minus 13. Yes, that's going to do it. It's going to jump immediately to minus 13 and skip the middle. X equals 0, y equals 13. Yep. There we go. That's what I want. I want to skip the middle. Maybe x equals 1. Maybe I want just a little deadband in the center. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. That's probably a good idea. Okay, let me modify that. Have this be x equals like minus 2 or minus 1. And then this one's going to be y equals x equals 1. Okay, so we got a little bit of deadband there. Okay, great. Now, is this going to work? Come on, baby. So what we should see is that it immediately jumps to 14. Yes, yes, I think it's working now. So here is the output for the roll channel. And as I begin to deflect the stick, it immediately jumps to 13, 14. And then I have this long, slow deflection here, and then it immediately accelerates abruptly to 100%. Boom, 13. Yes, that is exactly what I want. Let's test it out. Let's see how it works in real life. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we got just a little movement there. It's a little less movement than the default, but still pretty close. And now, how gradual is it? So on the roll axis, it should be pretty gradual. Oh, too gradual. Do you see that basically it was just sitting there coasting for like... No, it's too much expo. We're going to need to tweak this a little bit. So we'll press the model key and we will go modify that custom curve. Feel like the amount of deadband at the center is just about right. That is the amount of deflection I have to deflect the stick before the motors begin turning. If I wanted to adjust that deadband, I would need to adjust this point right here and the corresponding point on the other side of the axis right there, and I would adjust the X parameter. If I make that X parameter larger, then there will be more deadband at the center of the stick before the motors begin spinning. But I was pretty comfortable with it. To adjust the expo, that's too abrupt. So what I want to do is I think I want to make it less abrupt like this. There we go. So it's more linear, but still not completely linear. The number was 50. Let's take this also to minus 50. And I gotta tell you, just looking at this curve, I'm not sure if smooth is actually what I want. I think I'm gonna turn smoothing off. Yeah, I think that's more like what I want. I think I want it to be linear until we hit the inflection point. Let's try that out. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Now look at the difference with pitch. Do you see pitch comes on faster, whereas roll comes on more gradually? That is the result that we are trying to achieve. And the beautiful thing, okay, unplugged, it's safe. The beautiful thing about this is that you can tweak this yourself to make it exactly how you want it. By adjusting the location of this point and this point, you can adjust how abrupt or how gradual that curve is. You can move that point up, down, in, and out, and you can get exactly the feel that you want. There's only one more thing you need to do though. Don't forget, we have currently only done this to the roll axis. We would need to then copy that same thing to the other axes. And now we can see that for all three of those inputs, they switch when we flip the switch, and the custom curve is working. Isn't that cool? Now we have some expo on our turtle mode to give us just a little bit more control. That is just an example of the power of EdgeTX. And if you're interested in learning more examples of how to do really cool advanced things with EdgeTX, I've got a couple of videos I think you're going to want to see. I'm not even 100% sure which videos I'm going to pick, but I know I've done some really cool EdgeTX tutorials, and I'm just going to pick two of the ones I think you're most interested in. I'm going to put them in cards on screen right now and links in the video description. And I will see you there.